I think is the most loving thing for me to do in a situation, you might say that is not love at all. Someone that you're dating may do something from a space of what they think love is, and it may completely break your heart. And the thing is,
this is the Deep Dive with Adam Roa.
Yo, what is up, deep divers? Welcome to episode 2 of this new season of the Deep Dive podcast. My name is Adam Roa, and today we are going to be diving into relationships. Relationships, because that is going to be the overarching theme of this next season of the Deep Dive, as each episode of the Deep Dive Musings will be diving into the music and looking at different lyrics and unpacking those and looking at the songs themselves and really exploring the concepts. And this first musical song that I will be releasing, the first single, is called Voices. It's coming out on October 9th. And the concept of that is, if I forgive you, is that weak or is that devotion? The idea that love is somehow empirical, that there is a right and a wrong to what love looks like in a relationship or in a given moment. And I want to talk about that today. And before I get into that, I do want to say thank you for one of the reviews that I received on the Deep Dive podcast from Michael Anthony 7888, who says, "Mind exploding and heart expanding. I've been listening almost every week for well over a year, and I never fail to gain an incredible insight into my own life. It's really hard to put into words the impact just listening and watching Adam's content has had on my life. I'm always inspired to be more loving, raw, authentic, and vulnerable in my life. I've become a spoken word poet and started writing because of this man and the incredible example he sets and leads by. I truly can't thank you enough, Adam." Michael Anthony 7888, thank you for that remarkable and amazing review. I really appreciate that. And the most powerful piece of that was to hear that you have been inspired to create your own art. And as this new season focuses on the music and unpacking the art and the consciousness that goes into that, it means so much to hear that that's inspired you in that way. To everybody else listening to this, please take a moment to leave a review on iTunes, follow on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, all of those things. Leave me a comment and let me know how this podcast has impacted your life. It means the world to me. As now back to today's topic of relationships and the art of choosing love. I'm going to put a link to the YouTube show in the show notes here. The Art of Choosing Love is the name of my YouTube reality show. And I named it that because choosing love is an art. It is not empirical. There's a lot of people who evaluate what they should do. And anytime you hear that word should, you know that there's something you're comparing yourself to. And so people think they should do this because that's the loving thing to do. Well, let me frame this up for you here. Let's say that you started dating someone new, like I have, and you go out to dinner with a few friends of yours, and they tell you that they don't like your new girlfriend or boyfriend. Say that happens, and they say, here's why. He or she is this, and I remember years ago they did this, and I heard this about them. When you go home and your partner, your new boyfriend or girlfriend says, "How was dinner?" Is the loving thing to do to tell them the truth because you want to be as open and honest and vulnerable and authentic as you possibly can? Is that the loving choice? Or is the loving choice to keep that to yourself because you know it will, one, hurt their feelings, and two, potentially damage the relationship that you want your friends and your new boyfriend or girlfriend to have? Which one's the more loving choice? You see, the thing is that I don't believe there is an empirical answer to that. There's not a right or wrong in that scenario. Similarly, in Voices, the first single that I'll be releasing on October 9th, the question that I was asking myself is, do I forgive this person who has lied to me on multiple occasions? Is that the loving thing to do? Or do I stand up for myself and my own values and say no more? Is that the loving choice? When we can remove the lens of right and wrong, when we can stop comparing ourselves and our actions to some idea of what love is, and start to come into our hearts, we can take action based on that space. We can start to make our decisions and our choices based on what love looks like to us. Have you been hearing that you should love yourself more? Is that something that has consistently popped up in your space, but you're not exactly sure how to do that? That's why I created the course. It starts with you, Self-Love Made Simple, because self-love is not simply turning on a light switch. It's not like you have it or you don't. It's actually the byproduct of the relationship that you have with yourself. And just like any other relationship in your life, if you want there to be love, it looks like how much time do you invest into it? And what do you do? What do you say? What are the activities that you put into those relationships? The same is true for yourself. And so what I've done is I've gathered 15 of the most impactful, powerful, potent exercises that have helped me reach millions with self-love. And I've put them into a video course so that you can apply them to your life and deepen your relationship with yourself, learn to love yourself more, increase your self-worth and your value, which will call in more financial abundance. It'll call in deeper connections with the people around you. It'll call in more joy and love and fun into this life. Because at the end of the day, while you may not be able to control everything that's happening around you, you can control how you respond to that. Directly the result of how much you love yourself and how much you feel your worth. And so if you have been looking for a way to increase your internal value system and up-level your entire life, I encourage you to check out my new video course, It Starts With You. And that's what I believe is the most important takeaway from today's topic, which is love is relative. What I think is the most loving thing for me to do in a situation, you might say that is not love at all. Someone that you're dating may do something from a space of what they think love is, and it may completely break your heart. And the thing is that just because they did it out of love doesn't mean that that's the type of love that you want. And that's the important thing about relationships. Love is unconditional. Relationships are not. You can have unconditional love for someone. You can have compassion for how they're showing up. You can even understand why they did the thing they did. But to be in relationship with someone, there are conditions. There are boundaries. There are ways in which you get to be treated. There are ways in which you get to show up for the people you are in relationship with. And this is not just a romantic partnership. This is your business partnerships. These are your friendships. These are your family dynamics. In each and every one of your relationships, there are conditions. And the thing is, if you don't know what those conditions are, if you aren't a stand for how you want to be treated and how you desire to treat others, if you don't stand for that, if you're not clear about that, then what happens is when someone hurts you, when someone shows up in a way that doesn't feel good, you don't even know why. You just know your feelings are hurt. And so what happens is in most scenarios, people wind up in the same patterns. They wind up with friendships where they continue to feel and experience the same things. They wind up with romantic partners who continue to treat them the same way they've been treated in the past because the awareness is not there for why. Awareness gives us choice. And so in this next season of the deep dive, because we will be focusing and unpacking all of the different songs that I'm releasing, and because the first several songs are about relationships, we will be exploring things like forgiveness. We will be exploring things like deep cosmic love of like past lives and twin flames and soulmates. We will be exploring things like the anger that we can feel and the resentment that we can feel in relationships after a breakup. And we can explore all these different dynamics from a space of there is no right and wrong. There is no empirical of this is what love looks like, but from a space of asking the question, what is love to me? How does love get experienced by me, through me, as me, in my relationship dynamics? How can I show up as a more loving version of myself? And the underlying piece to all of that is the awareness. So what I want you to take away from this podcast, the tangible takeaway today, is to start to look at each and every one of your relationships. You could even take this back to an exercise is to take this back through your past relationships and look at the things that were most triggering to you. The biggest fights that you've had over the last several years with your partners or your friends or your business partners, the business partnerships that have fallen apart, whatever it is, take a look at those and take a look at the actions that you took, take a look at the actions that they took, and see if you can spot the love in all of it. See if you can understand how their actions stemmed from love. As you'll hear in the Voices track that's coming out on October 9th, that experience of being lied to, I sat in an understanding of, wow, I see where she lied to me from love. She thought that lying to me was the most loving thing to do. And that doesn't mean that I needed to take her back. It didn't mean that I needed to agree with the decision, but at least it gave me a lens of compassion. If I'm unable to see how she is coming from love, I am missing a key component to being the most loving version of myself. But if I can hold a lens of, wow, she is showing up as love here, even if I don't agree with it, I have now opened my heart. And I'm not doing that for her. I'm doing that for me. Because I don't desire to be the type of person that closes my heart in any circumstance at all. I desire to live with my heart open. And that's not easy to do in a world in which so much pain is out there. It's in a world in which we can open up our hearts and have people trample on them. I know what that feels like too. And it takes a lot of courage to keep your heart open in a world that doesn't know how to treat those hearts with compassion and in a sacred way. So I want to say thank you to each and every single one of you who has continued to keep your heart open. I want to say thank you to all of you deep divers who continue to come here each and every week to learn how to open up your heart and to spread your awareness to a more wide array of possibilities for how love can look. It's not empirical. It's not right or wrong. It is relative to each and every person. And our role as lovers, as spiritual warriors on this planet, is to find the love. To show up in a circumstance where years ago we may have said, F you, forget you, I'm done with you, and say, how can I still be love here? How can I still see love here? It starts with the awareness. So after listening with this, don't let this go in one ear and out the other without making a shift in your life. Take the time to think back to the different experiences that you've had that have been triggering, that have been hard, that have been difficult, that you thought someone was full of hate or anger, where you've judged someone, and see if you can find the love. That practice of doing that over and over and over again will continue to expand your capacity to love others and to love yourself. And that is how we show up and spread love and elevate the consciousness of this planet. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Thank you for being a deep diver, because to me, what it means to be a deep diver is you have the willingness to look at the parts of yourself that you may feel shame about or guilt about or blame about. You are willing to be honest about who you are, what you think, why you feel what you feel, in order to be the highest expression of love on this planet that you can possibly be. That takes courage, and I am proud to be on that journey with you. And I want to remind you that always, in all ways, you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Thank you for going to listen to the song Voices on October 9th. And thank you for sharing this with loved ones that you want to help elevate and expand and grow with, so that we build this community together.